If your React Native app has a logging endpoint and no rate limiting, it is vulnerable to brute force attack. Today, I'll show you how to protect your Node API properly using rate limiting. So before we take a look at the code, we are going to take a look at the demo, right? So let's delete this middleware, which basically has a limited 5 logging attempt. So let's go to the demo and let's take a look at the logs here, right? We are gonna see this log a lot of time, right? So this is our first, second, third, 5, and we have 6 attempts, right? We have a lot of attempts already to log in, right? And then that's because we don't have the rate limiting in place, right? Let's change the credentials of this user. And so now let's add this, the rate limiter, right? As we saw before, without the rate limit, you can try so many times to log in, right? In this case, we have the rate limiting, and see what happened now when we try to log in more than 5 times, right? So let's do the first time, invalid credential. And this is another important thing, guys. In the front end, make sure you have any sort of message to indicate the user that there is something wrong, right? So that way they can pay attention, change the credential, or try to remember the correct credential, right? As you can see, there is 4 attempts to log in. So now this is the 5th attempt to log in. And now let's try that other time, the last time. As you can see, we reached the 5 attempts to log in, and now we cannot log in anymore, right? Or we cannot try anymore. And why that happens? That's because we have the rate limiting here. So basically we have a max of 5 attempts, and then we have to wait 15 minutes in order to try again, right? So let's take a look at the code here. So basically we have a TypeScript type over here with a user email password role over here, right? We have our fake data, which is in memory data that we have storage here. And remember, always to encrypt the password, right? This is just an example, so that's why we are not encrypting anything. But in real life, you have to encrypt all the data, right? So, and then we have the login road, which basically it's pretty simple. We have the email and password. If everything goes well, we basically compare the information with what we have in our fake database over here. And then if everything, if there is something wrong, we send invalid credential. And then if everything goes okay, we said login successfully, right? So that's when it comes to the backend. That's something simple. And then just want to mention that without the rate limiting, someone can script tabs of login attempts per minute, right? And remember that one other thing is when the rate limiting is just for sensitive routes, right? In this case, the logging is very sensitive. That's why we have to have this rate limiting middleware here, right? So now let's take a look at the front end code. And the front end code is something very simple. It's the same thing we are doing to the backend, to the auth login. We're sending the email, password, and then we have the response over here, right? And something very important, guys, in the UI, it's very important to let the user know what's going on, right? Like, for example, we have this message here that they have done too many attempts, right, to log in and try it later, right? And that's very important, so the user is aware of what's happening. Also, it let them know that they need to change the credential, or maybe they forget it and need to remember that correctly in order to log in, right? And basically that's the rate limit, guides. And I hope you understand that this is a simple concept but very important. And see you in the next one. Thank you.